All right. How's it going, y'all? Oh shit. 4278. Okay. Oh, the Amish beard? Is that what you would consider it? All I did was shave off my mustache. I'm glad to hear it, Chica. I'm glad that worked out. Now, I used to actually, when I was younger, I used to shave down to my jawline, right? That I was like, the Lincoln. Um, Muslim, I don't know about that. Um, no, just every so often, once my mustache gets long enough where it curls into my mouth and it gets annoying, I just shave it off. That's why I shave my head. Same thing. It gets to a length where it's annoying, and so I just shave it, and it's like fuck it, I'll just keep it shaved. Good times. Oh fuck. I don't know why I keep forgetting to open the guest queue when I start. But yeah, hopefully we can have. Hey, Mijai and Nick and James, everybody, glad to see you here. Thank you. Thanks for tapping the screen and sending out some shares, new follows, all that stuff. The goal here, obviously, is to have some good faith conversations about whether or not there's justification to believe in a God. Obviously, my position is that no such justification exists, but hey, maybe I will be changed. Maybe my mind will be changed. So if you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure you're an adult and you have some kind of argument or evidence for God. Hi, Eli, how old are you? Hello. Eli. Can't hear you if you're not on the app. Yeah, I'm with you, Nick. So speaking of changing minds, I actually did change my mind on one of my positions today. Um, Not like a massive change, but I shifted from um, this kind of neo-Aristotelian ethical naturalism that I've been uh, holding to recently and looking into. But I was working on an argument today for that ethical naturalism and by extension virtue ethics, and I showed it to some people and I got some responses, and two different people responded with basically the same critiques. And now, obviously, like if you get multiple people responding with the same critiques of your argument, you got to take that seriously. They're both people that I really respect, women that I think that have extremely um, insightful responses to these types of things. So I took their feedback seriously. Now, my initial response though was, "Oh, you only think I'm wrong because you don't understand because I didn't do a good enough job explaining." I thought that maybe I had just failed in explaining my position. But when I took their responses seriously and tried to find ways to explain my view that got around or explained away their critiques, I found that I couldn't do it. So I had to admit that their critiques were legitimate and I could not save the view. And so I have switched from uh, ethical naturalism back to ethical rationalism, which is the position that I was at previously. Then I was convinced for a bit that naturalism was actually better than rationalism. And now I have seen the error of my ways. So there you go. Perfect example that when I get feedback, I change my position. But yeah, so if you are a theist and you want to help me change my position on God, feel free to request up as long as you're an adult and you actually have some kind of argument or evidence. uh, I certainly don't have any reason to think that Jesus is real. One second, I'll bring up. I guess it'll be our first real guest. Just doing some YouTube maintenance I always forget about. Okay. Hi, Monsieur. How old are you?
23.
Okay. Do you believe in a God?
I do.
Cool. Which God do you believe in?
Yahusha.
I don't know what that is.
Yahusha?
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
Oh. Well, I
So what
hope
God
you
is that?
come close to God before your last breath comes.
Okay.
And
Can you tell me what God is it? Is it just like a weird way of saying that you're a Christian, that you believe in Jesus?
yes,
Oh, okay. And what would you say is the best argument or evidence that would provide a reason to believe in God?
Bible.
Cool. How does the Bible provide a reason to believe in God?
Um, it provides multiple reasons, but just because someone reads or studies the Bible doesn't make them any closer to God, as so anyone can read the book.
Yeah,
It's
that's
about
fine. I'm
your
just
connection.
asking, what is the reason to believe in God? You said it has something to do with the Bible, so I'm just asking you to explain, how do we get from the Bible to having a reason to believe in God?
Having a connection within yourself. That's a reason.
So it sounds like it's just like, if you feel like God exists, then you have a reason to believe in him. Is that what you're saying?
You just gotta think like,
Yeah, but I have thought, and I have read a bunch of the Bible, and it seems to me like the feeling that I get is that no gods exist. So are you saying that because I've read the Bible and that was the feeling that I got, that I must be right and that there is no God?
hey, you can read it, interpret it however you like,
Okay, but you're saying
but
that reading the Bible and the feeling that you get when you read the Bible is the justification for whatever position you land at. I'm saying that I landed at the position no gods exist. So is that the correct position?
so you don't believe in anything. You
Can
just
you
said no
please
gods exist.
can you please answer my question? Is that the correct position? Did I do the right thing and arrive at the correct position?
We don't know who's correct until our day comes.
Okay, so you're agreeing with me that there isn't actually a reason to believe in God, you just believe in it anyway without a
There's
reason?
a reason because there's something inside of me that draws me closer.
Okay, right. So it's just the way you feel. Like you don't actually have a reason to believe in God, you just have like an internal feeling and you're just basing your belief on your feeling, right?
No, because I have a soul and a body and a mind.
How did you confirm that you have a soul?
Because I literally can tell you this. I could live
So
many
how did
different
you
lives.
confirm that you have a soul?
Okay, astral projecting.
Yeah, I know that it's not real.
Oh, it's not real. Okay.
Correct.
Well, I have a soul because I can tell what is right from wrong.
Yeah, but
And
I can tell what's right from wrong and I don't have a soul. So why should I think that there are souls?
let me finish. So
Well, no,
I can
because you're
tell
saying
from
that the reason that you can confirm that you have a soul is the ability to tell right from wrong, but I can also tell right from wrong, and as far as I can tell, I don't have a soul. So clearly there isn't a connection between being able to tell right from wrong and having a reason to think that you have a soul. So I'm asking, what is the reason to think that we have souls?
because you could do anything to a physical body, but the soul is only one soul.
Okay, how do you
You
know
can't
that though?
change the soul.
That's just the claim again though.
How do I know?
Yeah.
Like I said, you have the mind and then the body and the soul.
Yeah, and how
And
did
that
you
soul,
confirm
you
that that's
can't change
true?
it.
You're just making a claim. So
Okay,
I'm not
how can I
asking you to
confirm?
make the claim again. I'm asking you to provide a reason to believe that the claim is true.
Okay, so I know that you know darn well that the society that we live in today, it all stems from hate, negativity,
Okay, this is
and
not related. I'm going to
all.
ask you one last time. If you can't give me a direct answer that actually responds to the
If
question,
there isn't
I'm
a
just going to move
soul,
on. What's the reason to believe that there is a
all
soul?
right, I'm not here to argue. So
Okay,
have
well,
a
have a
nice
good
rest
one.
of your day.
I mean, the whole point is to debate, and if you're going to make claims, then you should support those claims in the debate, right? Okay, so if you are in the guest queue or thinking about joining, uh, damn, KC, that got cut off. That was lame. Thank you though. I appreciate the support regardless. Um, okay, so Frieza, look, we all know that I'm bald, and I don't really mind you talking about me being bald, but you need to calm the fuck down, right? Just calm it down. All right. So yeah, again, if you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a god. Thank you, Casey, for the pompadour. Okay. Hi, Reptilian. How old are you?
I'm 29.
Okay. Do you believe in a god?
I do.
Cool. Which god do you believe in?
Deistic.
Oh, okay. But it's kind of like some mind that created the universe.
Yeah, basically.
Okay. What would you say is the best argument or evidence that would give us a reason to believe in God?
A general principle of the fine-tuning argument that I'm sure you're familiar with.
Well, my issue with the fine-tuning argument comes down to the high probability premise, because typically the fine-tuning argument is going to have like a low probability, saying like a fine-tuning is unlikely under naturalism, but it's highly likely under theism, therefore theism is supported. But I don't understand how we can get to the conclusion that fine-tuning is expected under theism. Can you support that?
In a logical sense, no. I mean, it is fundamentally a probability argument, as you said.
Right, but how would you
But
determine the
I directly,
probability is my question.
basically looking at the looking at the ranges, for example, of, let's say, gravitation and electromagnetism, you
Oh,
see a 10 to the 36.
no, how
So,
did you determine
yeah,
how did you determine the ranges that those constants could have taken?
there is no reason that it couldn't be basically
No,
every
no, no, no.
reasonable
That
value.
did you understand the question?
No, please.
Yeah. So how did
Rephrase it
you
a bit.
confirm what ranges those constants could have taken? So not there's no reason to think it's this way or that way. That doesn't confirm anything. So what I need you to do is explain how you confirmed how big the range is.
Scientifically, I can't.
Right, but no, so what
Mathematically,
you're
the
saying is
physics still works out.
no, what you're saying though is that this is a probability argument. So the only way
Yeah.
you can run a probability argument is if you know the probabilities, or at least some rough approximation of the probabilities. So what you need to be able to do in order to run a probability argument is demonstrate how you determined those probabilities, or at least a rough approximation of those probabilities, even if you don't have the exact number.
I don't have the exact number. If we're going with, for example, the string theory interpretation, you're getting like 10 to the 500 ranges, and
there's no demonstration or support for string theory as being true. So we can't base anything on string theory since we don't have a reason to think it's true. So what would be
empirically no, but mathematically yes, you can.
no,
Because
no, we cannot test the predictions of string theory. Therefore, we have no evidence supporting it. If we don't have any evidence supporting it, then we have no reason to believe that it's true. We have no mathematical or empirical evidence that string theory is
you
true.
absolutely have mathematical evidence.
No,
we
no.
we don't have any empirical scientific evidence.
No, we don't have mathematical. No, we don't have mathematical evidence for string theory. What we have is math that seems consistent with our current observations of reality. That doesn't make it true, though, because we have other models that are also consistent. And of course, those other models can't be true if string theory is true. So if string theory has the same level of mathematical support as other theories, then no, we don't have evidence to believe in it over the other models that are equally supported. So no, we don't have evidence to think that string theory is true. And since we don't have evidence to think string theory is true, we need some reason to think that we can determine the range of possible values that the cosmological constant or gravity or any of these other constants could have taken. So in order for you to say that there's some high probability here or low probability there, you have to give some approximation of those values, or like the range of values that it could have taken and how you determined that range.
Yeah, that's the best that we can do right now because we haven't reconciled.
Okay, so then you're saying that you don't have an argument.
It's not just string theory.
No, because now you're saying you don't have an argument.
No, I'm
so
saying
so
look at all
okay,
of the
so
models
here's
because
no reptilian.
hold
Here's where we're at in the dialectic. You either need to demonstrate some way that you were able to determine the range of possible values of the constants that you're appealing to, or you need to admit that the fine-tuning argument has failed. Those are your two options right now.
I'm saying look at all of the mathematical models.
No, don't tell me to look at models. Give me the demonstration of how you determined the range of possible values for these constants that you're appealing to.
You do a linear combination of quantum gravity to the best of
you
your
have
ability.
A quantum gravity theory?
No, I'm saying that these are competing models, and that's the best we can do with our current observations.
Right, so we don't actually know what's true. If we don't know what's true, then that doesn't support one position over another. What you need to do
why are you
reptilian. What you're doing right now is saying, oh, we have unanswered questions, so I just get to assume. No, you don't get to just assume. You need to either demonstrate that you did determine the range of values, or admit that you don't have a way to do that.
Why are you inviting like scientific empiricism?
Fair enough. If I ask you that many times the same question and you still refuse to answer it, I'm moving on. Scientology. All right. If you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining the guest queue, make sure that you're 18 plus and that you have some kind of argument or evidence that will provide rational justification to believe in a God. Papers. Oh, I think you meant LARPers. Okay, so please stop spamming people. If by control the debate you mean keep it on topic, then yes, I am trying to control the debate. If you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God. You guys need to calm the fuck down. All right. Hi, Guy. How old are you?
Hi, how are you? I'm 48 years old. How are you, sir?
What God do you believe in?
Jesus Christ.
Okay. And what would you say is the best argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in God?
From my heart, you want to know, did you see the sun in the sky? Did you see the waters that he holds back? Did you see the earth that he created it? And
okay, so you shouldn't be asking questions right now. What you should be doing is rendering an argument. So what's the argument that God exists?
Here's my argument. 2 points. First point is you could just go outside and see the creation of Jehovah. My second argument is Jesus spoke about people like you. I'm not commending you.
Okay, which of the arguments do you want to discuss? We can only discuss one argument at a time, so which one do you want to discuss?
The one that you're saying that there is no God, that's how I know there is a God, because Jesus spoke about you.
So why would you expect no one to say there was no God if there wasn't a God?
There is a God.
Right, but that wasn't my question.
You're saying there's no God. And
no, did you hear my question, or were you too busy talking over me?
I was talking over you, but go ahead.
Okay, so are you going to let me ask the question this time?
Come on.
So why would we expect no one to say that there is no God if there wasn't a God?
No, not that you expect someone to say that there is no God.
No, you don't understand the question, Guy. Here's the issue, Guy. I'm trying to explain the issue to you. You're saying that my claim that there is no God is evidence for God. The only way that could be evidence for God is if it's unexpected if there is no God. So what you're claiming is that it's unexpected if there is no God that people would be saying that there is no God. You need to justify that claim.
He knows everything. Jesus is all-knowing, all-omnipresent.
I'm going to give you one more opportunity to actually engage. If you can't do it, I'm going to move on. What is the reason we would think that people would not be saying there's no God if there was no God?
Because there is a God. This world.
So just completely incapable of engaging with the question. All right. If you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God. Hi, Tool. How old are you?
Me, bro? I'm 38, actually.
Okay. What God do you believe in?
The God of light and code, bro. Doesn't really have a name. He's made of Paleo-Hebrew and numbers, actually.
Okay. Well, we'll try to move on and talk to somebody serious. If you're in the guest queue, make sure that you're an adult and you actually have some kind of argument or evidence for God. Hi, James. Hello?
Oh, everybody spam me over on spot.
Okay. Okay, so if you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, hold on one second. There we go. If you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and that you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God.
Yo, what up?
What up? How old are you?
Yeah. Me, I'm 33.
And what God do you believe in?
I believe in Jesus Christ.
Okay. And what would you say is
The
the
Trinity,
best
the Holy Trinity. I'm saying the Holy Trinity. I
Sure.
believe in the Holy Trinity.
And what would you say is the best argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in God?
The most rational justification that I can give you is my true experiences, real life experiences.
And why should we think that you've properly interpreted those experiences?
Well, it's totally up to you what you believe. But my
do you understand the question that I asked you?
Well, you understand the answer that I'm giving you?
No, you didn't give an answer. How did that answer my question?
That my true experiences.
No, what was the? Can you repeat back to me the question that I asked you?
How can I prove what evidence that I have to prove that God is real?
No, the question after that.
The question after that was too long ago.
You remember the one that was further back, but not the one that was more recent because it was too long ago?
Okay, say it again.
Okay.
Ask the question again.
You said the way that you know God exists is something to do with your personal experience. So my question is, how did you confirm that you properly interpreted your personal experience?
I seen God with my own mind.
Did you listen to the question this time?
Well, I'm just telling you
So what was the question that I asked you for the second time?
Okay, that's all I'm telling you.
What was the question that I asked you? I've asked it twice now.
Why when I answer my question, you come with another question?
So I asked you the same question twice and you still haven't answered it. I'm checking to see if you even listened.
I listened to you.
Okay, so what was the question that I've asked you twice now?
How can I prove that God is real?
Nope, you said that last time, and I told you were wrong, so you asked me to ask the question again, so I did ask it again, and clearly you didn't listen. If I ask it a third time, will you actually listen this time?
Give it to me one more time. Let's hear it.
Are you going to listen this time?
I'm going to put the phone closer to my ear.
Are you going to listen this time?
Yes, I got you.
Okay. So you said that the reason you believe in God, or the justification for believing in God, is your personal experience. My question is, how did you confirm that you properly interpreted your personal experience?
How can I enter that I countered my personal experience?
What?
You said how can I verify that I encountered my personal experience?
No, that is not at all what I asked. How did you determine that you properly interpreted your personal experience?
What? How can I determine it? Because I witnessed it and seen it with my own eyes.
And how do you know that you saw what you thought you saw?
It's not that I thought I saw, it's my encounter that I had.
Yeah, how do you know that you're correct about what happened?
I'm 100% correct because I experienced it.
Okay, I'm going to ask you one more time, and if you don't actually answer the question, I'm just going to move on. How do you know that you experienced what you think you experienced?
I experienced an encounter with God.
Okay, fair enough. Just total refusal to engage. My gaslighting. If you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God. Uh-oh. What did I do, CT? You coming up here to scold me? What did I do?
No, not to scold you, to basically tell him, like, okay, so you had an experience, you observed something, and then just ask him if he knew what a mirage was.
Yeah, well, it just seems like he just wasn't interested in actually paying attention to what I was asking. I'd asked the question 3 times before he even tried to listen to it, so.
Yeah, no, like, it was just me trying to see, like, maybe I can help make the conversation go somewhere. But...
Yeah, I don't think that was ever going to go anywhere, unfortunately. Maybe that's just me being cynical, but I appreciate you being willing to help.
Yeah.
Take care. Yeah, I agree, Matt. Not really a lot of help in there. Oh, shit. We are over 4,300. Thanks for pointing that out, Bradley. And actually, speaking of pointing things out, I do actually have a Discord that I started. You can get there, tinyurl.com/OGARDebates. And then I also have a YouTube. I would love for you guys to go over there, drop me some subscription. That does help. I'm trying to, do more with the YouTube, and having more subscribers will help a lot with that. So I appreciate that. And speaking of appreciating you guys, thank you so much for the support. I definitely appreciate everybody. Bradley Cooper, Bradley N. Both Bradleys showing up strong. Thank you. Saintly, Poopman Jones killing it. KC killing it as always. Alan Gibson, Lupine, thank you so much. Mikey, Wandering Ragnar, Goblin Brain Lem, Alan Gibson, JJ, and then even supporting Catholic Thinker. Thank you guys for supporting Catholic Thinker while he was up here. Definitely appreciate that. Cool to see people with the little like milestones, watching for 500 minutes, stuff like that. I'm glad that you guys are here. I'm glad that you guys enjoy, and you come back. It's sincerely appreciated. I don't know what you mean by implicit or explicit atheist. If you mean taking the positive atheist position, then yes. Hey, I love you too, Meatball. Thank you. All right, if you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure you're an adult and you have some kind of argument or evidence for God. I do have a job. Thanks for looking out for me. Hi, Relly. How old are you?
37. Can you hear me good, bro? Because it's loud in here.
Yeah, there's so much background noise. Can you get somewhere quieter?
No, just cancel me out. I'm in this loud-ass class.
All right. Maybe come back another time. I'd love to talk to you.
For sure, bro.
All right, take care. I mean, seemed like a nice guy, but holy shit, that was loud. Okay. Cannabinoid, I feel the same way. Poopman Jones is ubiquitous, and I chuckle every time I hear or say the name, so I'm with you. I that's not a bad idea, River, and I think I've done that before where I've had CT up here for a while, and there's nothing wrong with that necessarily, but like I really I try to stick to doing one-on-one. Not that obviously CT it's a little bit different because he's not, like Monkey Boy or Lobes where it's another atheist who's going to be like a 2v1, but it still just feels like I don't know. There's just something about keeping it to 1v1 debates that I really prefer. And maybe that's to my detriment, I don't know, but that is my preference. Hey, Obelisk, glad to see you. Oh, and I was about to bring somebody up and then they left. Okay, so currently don't have anybody requesting, so if you are 18 plus and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in God, I'd be happy to have you come up and we can have the debate. Okay, well, I don't know. What happened to my mustache? Well, I was in an unfortunate mustache accident. Thanks, Poopman Jones. Yeah, thank you everybody for the like. Oh shit, 11,000 likes. Thank you for that. Appreciate it. Thank you for sharing everything. Sincerely appreciate that. Yeah, we got up over 4,300 followers. That's fantastic. Yeah, mustache ride gone wrong. Thank you for the support, Colette and Serial Killer. I appreciate it a lot. What up, Wit? Yeah, looks like there's people in the oh, thanks for the support, Cannabinoid. A mystery movie. Are you at one of those things where it's like they're playing a movie but they don't tell you what it is? That sounds like fun. I was saying earlier, when I was younger, like in my early 20s, I used to shave down to my jawline, right? So it was just like the sideburn and then the chin beard, but I'm not really looking to do that level of chin beard anymore. But yeah, if you think that there is a God, I'd be happy to have you request and provide some kind of rational justification. Well, not a chin strap. I'm saying I still had the full beard here. I'm just saying that I shaved my cheeks. There we go. That's the word. But yeah, nobody requesting right now, which is wild. Well, not a I don't know about a fade. But yeah, nobody up. What can I yap about? I've been thinking a lot about ethics. As I was kind of saying earlier, I actually changed my. All right, well, have a good one, Obelisk. Hope you have a good time. I changed my meta-ethical position today from ethical naturalism to ethical rationalism due to some feedback I got from an argument that I made. Well, you certainly don't have to request, Dylan. If you feel like you want to have the conversation, feel free to come up. Well, if you want to see me with longer hair, Yazi, just go on my TikTok. Go to the oldest videos that are on there. I posted at least a few videos before I shaved my head. Okay, so ethical naturalism is the idea that there are true moral propositions and they're made true by some feature of nature. And so the position that I held to was called Aristotelian or neo-Aristotelian ethical naturalism, where the idea was that basically like the type of creature you are determines what your obligations are because of like the way that those type of creatures live. And like I think that it's a good argument. The problem is that it does really heavily rely on like teleology, like saying like what kind of thing you are determines the types of things that you're supposed to do. And there are some really weird issues that can come out of that I didn't see right away, but it is an issue. And so because that was so clearly pointed that out to me today, I have always, the whole time that I've been holding to this ethical naturalism, I've known that ethical rationalism is a solid position. But I felt that naturalism was better, right? And I felt that it got me where I wanted to go better. And unfortunately, I realized today, thanks to some very intelligent women that I was discussing this with today, they showed me issues with what I was saying. I thought maybe they were just misunderstanding me, and that I hadn't communicated my position well. So then while I was working on trying to communicate it better to explain why their issues weren't actually issues, well, then I realized that they were actually issues, and that the reason that they were problems is because I was wrong. So I changed my position to ethical rationalism, which is saying that instead of morals being made true by the nature of the type of being we are, morals are made true by logic itself. But yeah, so if you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure you're 18 plus. You have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in God. I didn't destroy 2,000 years of theology. Oh, you're talking about something else. I thought you were talking about the whole ethical thing I was just talking about. Never mind. Goworthy and Happy Tears. Funny. Yeah, Poopman Jones. I started reading a Korsgaard book today, and oh man, she's dropping fire right from the beginning. So like right at the beginning of this Korsgaard book, clearly B is not connecting. Right at the beginning of this Korsgaard book, she's talking about how like strong people's ethical intuitions are, and how people will even like give up their life because of their ethical intuitions. And she's saying like, why would people do that? Why would you like do this thing that maybe you don't even think you have a reason to do? I think this is how you spell her name. Yeah, Christine Korsgaard. The name of the book is Sources of Normativity, I believe. But that's the book that I'm reading, and yeah, like I said, she's dropping fire right at the beginning. I'm super stoked to read the rest of the book. Hey, you connected this time. How old are you, B?
I'm 32.
Okay, and what God do you believe in?
I believe that Jesus existed. I'm not really religious per se, but I just have a question. If you don't believe in a creator, how do you think that, everything exists?
Well, I think that it just exists. Like, I don't really know what you mean.
I mean, so, like the cosmological argument is that everything that exists must have a cause.
Well, hold on. You don't want to say that, because if you say God exists, then you have to say God has a cause. So what I think you mean is everything that begins to exist has a cause, right?
Right.
Okay, but then you have to say that the universe began to exist, and I don't think we have any reason to believe that the universe began to exist. Do you know of a reason to think that?
So we just existed infinitely?
Not us. Certainly not me or you, right? Like you said,
Right.
You're 32 and I'm 40, so like I'm older than you, but haven't been around that much longer. Certainly, the world and the universe have been around a lot longer than that.
Right. Yeah, that's what I mean. So the universe just existed infinitely.
Yeah, if it's not a problem for you to say that God just exists without beginning or further explanation, then I have no idea why it would be a problem for me to say that the universe just exists without beginning, without further explanation.
Right. So what about thermodynamics? Like, energy cannot be created nor destroyed.
Yeah, so that's a good reason to think that the universe was never created, right? Because then energy would have had to have been created. So if your position is that energy can't be created, then obviously you can't think that the universe was created.
Mm. I don't know. It just doesn't make sense to me. Like,
well, it sounds like you don't want it to make sense. It sounds like you're just going to say whatever thing you've heard other people say without actually considering it, right? Because all you've done so far in this conversation is jump from platitude to platitude, right? Like, you're not actually saying anything about any reasons to believe in God. You're just saying, like, well, I heard the phrase cosmological argument, and I heard the phrase energy can't be created or destroyed, and I've heard these other phrases that people use to support believing in God, so they must be reasons to believe in God. But that's not how that works. Those aren't reason to believe in God, as far as I can tell.
I'm just saying, like, altogether, the law of physics. So if you would be going against the law of physics.
What law of physics am I violating?
We weren't created.
No, no, we just explained how saying that we are created would be a violation of the law of thermodynamics that you appealed to. You're saying that the energy can't be created or destroyed, and then you're also saying that energy was created. So which is it? Either energy can't be created or it can. Which is your position?
I mean, I just,
which is your position, B? Which is your position?
My position is I came up here to ask you a question.
No, my question is, do you think that energy can be created or it cannot be created?
I'm not sure. That's why I came and said, hey, I have a question.
Okay, well, if you don't know whether energy can be created, then you don't have a reason to believe that the universe was created, because that would have been a creation of energy. So in order to believe that the universe was created, you have to believe that energy can be created. So again, do you think that the universe was created?
I mean, yeah, because
okay, so if the universe was created, that means energy was created, right?
Right.
Okay, so that means energy. So that means energy can be created, right?
Right, but
okay, so then you disagree. So now you disagree with the law of thermodynamics that you brought up, right?
Right.
Okay, so fantastic. Yeah, so you brought up the law of thermodynamics to try to use it as an argument against me, but you don't even believe in it. Do you understand why?
I'm not trying to argue against you. I'm trying to get your opinion on what you believe.
Okay, well, what I believe isn't important. What's important is what is true. What do we have reasons to think is true? Do we have any reason to think it's true that a God exists?
I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence, about, where we come from, how we exist. I mean, we're just infinite, and then, like,
okay, so you don't. It sounds like you just don't have a reason to believe in a God. So, I'm just trying to do debates here. I'm not like, a deconstruction coach. I'm not a therapist or anything like that. So I don't know that I have anything to offer that'll be helpful to you. I wish you nothing but the best. All right. If you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and that you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God.
Out there, but it's only.
Emil, how old are you?
I don't even know what time does the thing open.
We don't have to stay
Hello.
the whole time.
What time does the thing open? The stadium.
Good times. Sounded like a fun conversation. Okay. Thought something important happened. Sorry. All right. If you're in the guest queue, yes, you did miss the fine tuning argument, Matt. It did not go well. For the theist, I mean. If you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're an adult and you actually have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in God. I do this regularly, Rel. Yep. Usually like 5-6 days a week. Hi, John. How old are you? Hello? Bueller? Nope. Okay. Wow, not getting... I do get good conversations sometimes, yes. I certainly do. I certainly do. So yeah, if you don't currently have anybody requesting, be happy to have the conversation. If you are 18 plus and you have belief in a God and think that there's some reason to think that God exists, please feel free to request. I'd be happy to chat about it. But yeah, I don't know. In this weird position now, because I have put a whole bunch of time into that ethical naturalism I was talking about, but obviously not my position anymore. So now I'm like kind of reeling a little bit. But like I said, I think that ethical rationalism is fine, and I kind of already have like a rationalist argument for the normative view that I like anyway. So like it's not like a huge problem, but it does kind of, I don't know, like on the one hand, it's nice because it's like, okay, cool, I learned something and I can update my position accordingly. But then on the other hand, it's like, I did kind of like that position. It just sucks that it ended up having entailments that I couldn't stomach. I want to believe in whatever's true. I'm not telling anyone to presuppose rationalism. Well, let's take a look at the laws of thermodynamics. First law, energy can't be created or destroyed, only transferred. And then second law is entropy. Yeah, no, you're 100% right. When they try to appeal to the second law of thermodynamics, then they have to violate the first law of thermodynamics in order to hold to their position, right? It's just irrational. So yeah, if you a lot of questions in the chat. If you want to talk about the conversation, if you think that I'm wrong, have a reason to believe in God, I'd be happy to have the conversation. Feel free to come up. The guest box is open. Let me double check one thing and then I'll bring up the next person. Oh, okay. Are you still Christian?
What's up, man? Yeah, what's up, man?
Yeah, you still Christian?
Yeah, of course.
That's too bad. What argument did you want to discuss this time?
Yeah, so I wanted you to I wanted to ask you something. So do you believe that that nothing can create something?
No.
You don't believe that? Okay, so what?
No, only theists believe that.
So what created the universe then, or what created logic?
I don't think either was created. Well, that's not true. I would say logic is created by humans trying to describe reality, and I don't have any reason to think that the universe was created.
Wait, so you think that logic is just like nominal? You don't think that there's actually principles of reality?
Well, I think that reality has a structure that we're attempting to describe with logic, but that doesn't mean that logic exists independently of our minds.
Okay, so you're actually admitting that logic is descriptive of reality, right?
Yes.
So you're agreeing to that?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, so if logic is descriptive, then it's telling us about reality. So I'm asking you, why is it that reality is this way?
I have no idea.
Yeah, exactly. So there's no justification for you to even use logic then.
No, that doesn't follow at all. Just because I don't know why reality is the way that it is instead of being some other way doesn't mean...
Inconsistent is my point,
Excuse me. What I was saying is that just because I don't have some specific definition or description or explanation for why reality is the way that it is instead of some other way doesn't mean that I can't engage in the act of describing the way reality is. Those are completely unconnected.
Yeah, but why does it have to
you agree that those are not connected to each other, right?
You agree that it's contingent, right?
That was a question that I asked you. Do you understand that those things are not connected?
What things are not connected?
Knowing why reality has the structure that it does versus trying to describe that structure.
Yeah, but it has
okay, so we both agree that those are different things, right?
Sure, but they
Okay,
are tied
fantastic.
together.
So that whole thing
They
that you
are
just said
connected,
is
though.
completely irrelevant. So what would be the reason to believe in a God, Hussein?
They are connected because everything that exists that doesn't have to exist is has a sufficient reason.
Okay, so you're going to hold to the principle of sufficient reason. You want to do this contingency thing again that you couldn't support before? Because the last time we talked, you gave a contingency argument. I showed you modal collapse, and then you had to run away from your own argument so you didn't have to admit that you were wrong. Do you want to play that game again?
The modal collapse argument is like a straw man of what we affirm and the necessity of God like creating, because
because what is the thing that guarantees the creation of the universe? Like, what is the universe contingent on?
God's goodness.
Okay, is God's goodness necessary?
Yeah.
Okay, so if we'll put up the notepad here. Necessarily, God's goodness exists. Necessarily, God's goodness produces the universe. Conclusion, necessarily, the universe exists. Yes, it does follow. It absolutely follows. It's saying that in all possible worlds, right? So if we say in all possible worlds, A exists.
Yeah, I disagree with premise 2.
Oh, no, that was what you said. Okay, so then what is the thing that produces the universe, that necessarily produces the universe? What is the universe contingent on?
When did I say that the universe is necessarily produced?
You said that the universe is contingent on God's goodness. So now you're saying that's not the case. What is the thing that the universe is contingent on?
Yeah, it's contingent on God's goodness, but that doesn't make the
universe
necessary.
Okay, do you know what the word sufficient means in a philosophical context?
I don't have the definition with me, but...
Okay, so a sufficient cause in philosophy is going to be a set of factors that guarantees the effect, right? So a sufficient cause guarantees the effect, right? So what that means is that necessarily the cause produces the effect. So any state of existence where the cause exists, the effect exists. So what is that thing that is sufficient for the universe to exist?
Yeah, it's the will of God.
Okay, fantastic. So what we're saying here, this is the argument, right? We'll say necessarily God's will exists, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, and you said that God's will is sufficient for the universe. So what that means is that necessarily, apparently I can't type, necessarily God's will is sufficient for the, so that you don't get confused, God's will produces the universe. So the conclusion, necessarily, the universe exists. So this, again, the universe has...
I disagree with that conclusion.
Yeah, again, you disagree with the conclusion because you just don't like it, but it still follows. What you've said so far necessitates this conclusion.
It's not necessary that God had to create, because God's perfect in and of himself.
Okay, so then what is the thing that caused the universe to come into existence? You said it was God's will. So what is the thing that necessarily produces the universe?
That doesn't necessitate, like...
Okay, so what does necessitate the universe?
Like, I told you what makes the universe. It's through God's goodness.
Okay, so if God's goodness necessarily exists and God's goodness necessarily produces the universe, then the universe necessarily exists. If you're saying that it's something else that necessarily produces the universe, then you need to tell me what it is.
Yeah, I don't see the argument for why the universe has to be necessary.
Well, I just provided it to you, and you're just rejecting it because you don't like where it goes. So what you need to do,
you haven't even given an argument. You're just giving these premises that don't.
Yeah, this is an argument. You don't know what an argument is?
Okay,
this is an argument.
Premise 1 to premise 2. What? Give me the reason for why it necessitates premise 2. Why does
that's
God's
not how
will
arguments work.
Why does God's will necessarily existing mean that
it doesn't.
It's necessary that it produces the universe?
It doesn't.
God had a choice.
It doesn't.
God chose to create.
It doesn't. It does not mean that. No,
God
premise
did
2.
not have to create.
What I'm saying is that premise 2 does not follow from premise 1. That's not how a syllogism works. The conclusion follows from both of the premises, though. You told me that the second premise was true.
Premise 2.
Now,
No,
if you're saying that now,
premise 2 is
okay,
true.
that's fine. So now you're saying that God's will doesn't necessarily produce the universe. What is the thing that necessarily produces the universe?
The universe has a reason. It doesn't have
Yes.
to
What
be
is the
an
reason that the
explanation.
universe exists?
Yeah, we can know why God chose to create out of his
What
love.
is the reason the universe exists? You said all things that could have failed to exist, which in your view includes the universe, has a
They have a
sufficient
reason for
cause.
existing.
They have a sufficient reason for their existence. What is the sufficient reason that the universe exists?
And I told you already, it's the will of God.
Okay, what that means, if the will... Okay, so here's what I need you to understand.
Yeah, but the
Maybe
will
I'll
of
put
God
this back
doesn't
up
have...
here.
The will
Here's
of...
what I'm going to put this back up here. You're saying the sufficient reason the universe exists is God's will. Do you agree with that statement?
Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. So what we're saying here is that a sufficient reason is the thing that guarantees the existence of an effect, right? So if the sufficient reason the universe exists is God's will, that means anytime God's will exists, the universe exists. So now we're right back to this argument, because what you just said, this right here, the sufficient reason the universe exists is God's will, is logically identical to this premise. So you have now agreed to premise 2, you already agreed to premise 1, and the conclusion necessarily follows. So that means your position means the universe is necessary. If you don't have a substantive response, I'm just going to drop you.
Yeah, well, all you're doing is applying your regress theology into God when God is the...
Okay, well. Went back to contingency. Refuse to engage. Yeah, the last time that guy came up, it was the same thing. He wanted to talk about contingency, and then he just wanted to run away. Formally fallacious. No, I'm with you, Stephen Mathematics. I'm 100% with you. I have no idea why people like that do that. I don't know why you would give an argument if you can't even give a response. Also, that video that you posted, wasn't that you, Stephen, that posted that video? It was about the oh Christ. It was about that oh, now I'm not even gonna be able to remember exactly what it was. I remember watching that and just being so fucking fascinated. And now that I'm on the spot and put myself in this position, I don't remember exactly what it was about. Yes, the knowability paradox. I was trying to remember the actual name because it was named after a person. The knowability paradox. That video, you guys, if you're like into like logic and nerding out on that kind of shit, go to Stephen Mathematics' page. He's in the comments right now on TikTok. Go to his page. Watch that video on the knowability paradox. It is so fucking cool. Hey, thanks, Drew. Thanks for the hat and mustache. I got rid of my mustache, so I needed one. Fitch. That's what it was. The Fitch paradox. God, that video was like just fascinating. Just absolutely fascinating. I thought that was so cool. And you did such a good job of laying it out. That was really, really helpful to see. Have I talked to him, or maybe not? Tell him to hit me up. Especially easiest is on Daniel. Tell him to hit me up on Discord. Hey, good to see you too, Skoke. All right, if you are in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God. And I mean that, Daniel. Hi, Body. How old are you?
I'm 20.
Okay, and then what God do you believe in?
What God do I believe in?
Yeah.
Good question, but I don't think that there's no God at all.
Oh, you don't believe in a God?
I believe there is something. There is a God. There's gotta be something.
Okay, so what version of God do you believe in?
Okay, we don't want to talk about Jesus Christ. There's evidence for him to exist in
Okay,
Earth.
so you're a Christian?
Yeah, I will lean towards that, yeah.
Okay, and what would you say is the best argument or evidence that would give us a reason to believe in God?
Okay, why do you think Christopher Columbus existed?
So I'm asking for
Because
some
there's-
argument or evidence to believe in God. Christopher
Well,
Columbus is
there's-
not important. It's not relevant.
There is, if you want to base in history.
Well, I don't really give a fuck about history. I care about, things like philosophy, science, things like that. So what's the reason to believe in God?
So if there's history that proves that Jesus existed, you don't give a fuck about that?
No, because that would have nothing to do with whether God exists, and that's what I'm interested in. What's the reason to believe in God? God
Okay,
for
so
God
if there
Lumbus.
was
That's fucking hilarious. So what's the reason
Okay,
to believe in
hold
God?
on. No, hold on. Okay, if Jesus was killed, right, he was crucified, then his dead body was in a well, wherever it was.
How do you know where it was?
The body. No, they didn't find.
How do you know? How do you know that his body went missing?
There's historical evidence.
What's the historical evidence?
There's manuscripts.
What's the historical
witnesses.
evidence specifically? Don't just say there's evidence or there's manuscripts. Specifically, what is the historical evidence that Jesus' body went missing?
I don't know.
I don't know either. You know why you don't know about where? You know why you don't know? Do you know why you don't know what the evidence is?
Uh-huh.
You want to know the reason?
Uh-huh.
It's because it doesn't exist. Because if there was evidence, we would all know about it. But there isn't any evidence. All there is stories claiming that it happened. Well, stories claiming that a thing happened isn't evidence that that thing happened.
Okay, so basically your thing is that everything that exists in this world is just because? Or what do you believe in?
I'm asking if there's a reason to believe in God. Just because you don't like what straw man you've created in your head of my position doesn't mean that your position is correct. And the question here is, why should we think that your position, that God exists, is correct?
No, I actually want to know your exact position on it. Do you live in science?
Okay, so you're saying that you don't have a reason to believe in God, and now you want to pivot to my position?
Why you don't want to just say your position then?
Okay, because I want to stay linear. We're not going to move on to a new topic until we finish the topic that we're talking about. If you're saying that you agree that you don't have a reason to believe in God and you want to move on, we can do that. If you're saying that you do have a reason to believe in God, then that's what I'm asking to discuss.
Well, I told you what I know and what I have to offer you.
Right. So you're agreeing that you don't actually have any historical evidence, at least, right?
Well, you want me to actually? What do you want to see? I'm telling you.
Is there historical evidence for Jesus' body going missing? Yes or no?
I know for a fact that is. Yeah.
Okay, so then you need to present it. Give me the evidence. Where can I find it?
All right.
And please don't say the Bible. The Bible is the claim. I'm asking for the evidence for the claim.
Well, the Bible is more. The Bible is more like religious. If you want to follow it.
Yeah. So what is the historical evidence? Accepted by scholars, historians, that shows that Jesus' body went missing. And if you are having to Google it or ask ChatGPT, that doesn't inspire a lot of confidence.
Where do you get all your information from?
Usually like books, scientific papers, philosophical papers.
Well, hold on. You're saying that you never actually went to Google and asked a question?
Oh, I'm not saying that, but typically what I'm doing when I do that is, on my own time when I'm researching to see what positions I should hold. By the time I'm ready to debate a position with somebody, I already have the evidence. I don't have to go to Google because I already know it. Otherwise, I wouldn't hold the position. So if you feel that you're justified in holding the position that there's historical evidence supporting the disappearance of Jesus's body, then you should know what that evidence is. If you're saying you don't know that evidence and you have to go to Google to see if it exists, then clearly you don't actually have justification to make the claims you're making.
True.
Okay, so do you actually have historical evidence that Jesus's body went missing?
Okay, so if I show to you where I base myself on, are you gonna believe it, or are you gonna say,
It depends if it's actually legitimate evidence or not.
Well,
obviously,
how
if you give me some like Christian website like Discovery Institute or something, then no, of course I'm not gonna believe it.
Okay, how are you gonna determine if you're gonna believe me or not?
If it's independently verified historical evidence that historians agree is verified. Like, so you would want to, like, you know, get your source from an unbiased historical scholar, like a peer-reviewed paper, something like that. Do you have anything like that?
Not at this moment, no.
Okay, so you agree that you don't have any historical evidence that Jesus' body went missing, right?
Well, not right now, but I can do
my
research.
question is, do you currently have evidence, historical evidence, that Jesus'
right now,
body went
I
missing?
don't.
Okay, so what is the question that you want me to ask, or me to answer? Why I don't believe in God? The reasons not to believe in God?
I want to know what you believe in then. Well, if God isn't,
I'm not really.
God isn't real. Primary wrong. You don't believe there is a God, right?
Correct. There is no God.
Why?
Because number one, there's no reason to believe in God, because every person who's ever claimed a God existed has failed to support that claim. The other reason why we shouldn't believe in a God is because there are good arguments that give us good reasons to think that gods can't possibly exist. For example, I want to make sure that I'm, you know, discussing a God that you actually believe in. But let's say, for example, the Christian God, which do you think God is, like, you know, all-knowing, all-good, all-powerful, that kind of stuff?
Well, that's what the Christian belief claims, yeah.
Do you believe that God has knowledge? Does
God
know things?
To create everything, I will say so, yeah.
Okay, so if God knows things, then obviously that means God has a mind, which means that God has mental states. Now, since God is the creator of the universe, that means that he exists outside the universe, which means he exists outside time. So if God exists outside time and change can only happen inside time, that means that nothing internal to God can ever change, which means God's mental states can never change. The problem with that, yeah?
Okay. Where do you think your thoughts come from?
This isn't engaging with the argument. I'm providing you with a reason to think that God doesn't exist. If you want to stop me because you want to engage in the argument, fine. But if you want to just, like, throw out red herrings because you don't want to actually hear the argument against your position, that's I don't know what to tell you.
No. I'm just genuinely curious. Okay,
but I'm trying to give you an argument right now. Okay? So what I'm explaining to you is that because God is outside of time, his mental states cannot change. That's a problem, because in order for a being to act on its will, its mental states have to change from I intend to act on my will to I have acted on my will. So since God can't do that, his mental states can't change. That means he can't act on his will. If he can't act on his will, he can't create the universe. However, if God exists, he did create the universe. Therefore, by the power of modus tollens, God does not exist.
So how was the universe created then?
I have no reason to think that it was created.
So how do you exist? How does the world exist? How does everything that you have seen and haven't seen exist?
Hey, Bradley, you got it. Thank you, Bradley. Just natural processes. The answer to all that is just natural processes. Now, obviously, it's more complicated than that, but that's the kind of catch-all answer. It's just
natural processes.
Yeah, my existence was a natural process of my parents boning and my mom getting pregnant, and then she gave birth to me about 9 months later.
No, I'm talking about the very, very beginning, bro.
Yeah, well, I don't think that there was a very, very beginning.
So what was the natural process of the universe being existing?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It didn't ever come into existence, so there's no process of it coming into existence. I don't have any reason to think that the universe ever didn't exist.
Hold on. So you think there was... Okay, there's time, right?
Mm-hmm.
We can measure time.
Uh-huh.
So the very beginning...
I don't grant that there was a beginning. Why should I think there was a beginning?
Because Okay, how do you know right now is afternoon? Because he says 5:57, right?
Well, that's not the time here, but that's irrelevant. Why should I think that there's a beginning?
Because time exists.
Why does time existing mean that we should think there's a beginning?
I don't know, because...
Yeah, I don't know either.
Do it.
It sounds like you don't have a reason to believe in a beginning, my guy.
There's gotta be a beginning. So then... Okay, so then why do we have to do it? Okay.
Why should we believe that the universe had a beginning?
Because everything has a beginning.
No.
Your life had a
If you're
beginning.
saying that everything has a beginning, then that means God has a beginning. If God has a beginning, then that
we're not
means that
talking-
God's not
hold on.
ultimate. And if
Hold
God's
on.
not ultimate, then God doesn't exist. So obviously, no, you don't believe that everything has a beginning. But if you get to say that this ultimate thing that I believe in doesn't have to have a beginning or a further explanation, it just exists because it has to exist, well, then I get to say about the universe. If you get to make that move for your ultimate thing, then you can't tell me that I can't make that move for
I'm
my
not even
ultimate
defending-
thing.
I'm not even defending God's position right now, that God has a beginning. I'm trying to go, okay, if you already refuted my theory that God isn't real, right? Then I'm trying to refute yours. Just forget about God for a second. So, do you think that everything else but God has a beginning?
No.
Okay, just name one thing.
The universe.
Doesn't have a beginning. Okay. Dude. Okay, what else other than the universe?
I don't know if there is anything else.
Oh, you cannot name one thing that doesn't have a beginning but the universe itself.
I don't know of anything else for sure that doesn't
Okay.
have a beginning.
Okay, so why is the universe the only thing that doesn't have a beginning but everything else?
Because everything else that exists are things that, like, well, now let's be very clear. When I'm talking about the universe, I'm talking about like the field-bearing manifold, the quantum fields, those kinds of things. I don't think any of those things have beginnings. So then the things that exist inside the universe that are made of the energy excitations in quantum fields, all the particles and the things that they compose, if you think that composition obtains, all those things, those things coming into existence is just stuff being made out of other stuff that already existed. Right? That's what coming into existence is, as far as I can tell, is a new thing being made out of stuff that already existed previously. But the universe can't be made out of stuff that already existed, because if the stuff that makes up the universe already existed, then that means the universe already existed. So it's not possible, it's literally not possible for the universe to come into existence. So
So you
that
don't believe
means
in
that...
the Big Bang?
No, I do believe in the Big Bang. That's the description of the expansion of space-time. That has nothing to
Well,
do with the
hold
universe
on.
beginning.
Hold on. What does the Big Bang say? What is the Big Bang theory?
Yeah, the Big Bang theory is that the universe expanded from a hot, dense state, but it says nothing about whether there was a beginning of time or not.
Expanding from where?
From a hot, dense state.
Where did that come from?
It probably came from another universe that collapsed, right?
Okay,
like a
where did
previous
that universe
iteration of the
come from?
universe. I'm sorry, not another universe, just a previous expansion, right? Because it could be.
Where did that expansion originate from?
It just existed
You
forever,
see-
infinitely.
You see,
Yeah,
no,
it just
dude,
existed forever.
Hold on, we can go on and on about
Yeah,
this.
exactly. It
Okay,
goes
you
on,
see-
it goes on and on forever. Correct. Or maybe there's another possibility that could be true. It could be the case that maybe the Big Bang was the first temporal moment, but the whole universe as like a block universe existed eternally, and so that even though there's maybe a first and last moment of time, none of it ever came into existence. It all just always exists. That's also a very real possibility that's still on the table. So from my perspective, either the past is infinite and the universe always existed as a block universe regardless, or the past is finite and the universe always existed as a block universe regardless. Either way, we don't have any reason to think that the universe ever came into existence.
All right. Okay. Well, do you believe your life has a meaning?
Okay, so you don't have anything and you're just going to do 20 questions now? Or do you want to,
Do
like,
it. You
because I gave you an argument, here's what happened. You gave me an argument, I refuted it. I gave you an argument, you can't refute it. Do we have anything else to discuss?
Well, you're basing that the universe.
Do we have another
exists
argument to discuss, or are you done?
You didn't prove anything.
Okay, I'm going to take that as no, you don't have another argument to discuss. You just don't like that you can't refute my position. All right, so if you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and that you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God. Hi, Michael. How
Yo,
old are
hey.
you?
I'm 19.
And what God do you believe in?
I'm a Catholic.
Okay. And then what would you say is the best argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God?
I'll just take the same defense as Huso, so you can bring modal collapse again.
Why would you want to do that?
Because modal collapse doesn't follow.
Okay, what's the problem?
It commits a fallacy,
Yeah, what's the fallacy?
a modal transfer fallacy.
Explain.
Well, just put it on the screen. I'll show you the form.
Explain it.
Yeah, put the same argument you had earlier back on the screen.
I deleted it. Just explain it.
All right, well, your argument had the form necessarily if P then Q.
No.
P, therefore
no.
necessarily Q.
No.
And that's the fallacy.
No, that wasn't
yeah,
the
that,
argument.
that was your argument.
Okay, well, so if you're just going to not track and then try to knock down a straw man, then, I mean, I guess, like, congratulations, knocking down a straw man. Do you have anything of substance?
So your argument was not necessarily if God creates this world, then this world exists, and then God's act of creation is necessary. Therefore, this world necessarily exists. That wasn't your argument?
It sounds like you're getting closer now, but no.
Okay, what was your argument?
The argument was necessarily P implies Q, therefore necessarily Q.
Yeah, in informal language, what was your argument?
That was the argument. So if you can say that there's a fallacy in that argument, then show the fallacy.
I'm saying the natural language wording doesn't map onto that form.
That is the argument that I gave. The natural language argument that I gave absolutely maps onto that form. The argument was necessarily P implies Q, therefore necessarily Q. That's the argument.
Right, give it in natural language.
Yeah, necessarily. So if we say P is God's will, so necessarily God's will exists, and then we say Q is the universe, so necessarily God's will entails the universe, and then the conclusion would be necessarily the universe exists.
That's still a modal transfer fallacy. Bro.
No, it's not. It's the exact argument. It's necessarily P implies Q, necessarily Q. That's the argument.
Why would God's will being necessary necessitate the universe?
I didn't say that it did.
That's what the argument is saying.
Nope, no, it's not. So clearly you're just unable to track.
No,
clearly you're just unable to track, and I'm not going to deal with it anymore. All you can do is knock down straw mans. Desperate to straw man my position. Yeah, I ran, or I just got sick of your bullshit. If you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God. I'll stop kicking when people start engaging. Hi, Letters, how old are you?
27.
And what God do you believe in?
My mother.
All right. Okay. Thinker, you should just do lives where you educate Christians on their own positions. Catholics. I'm not sure what you mean, Hoseko. Thank you very much, everybody, for the support. Bertram, Lobes. Glad to see you, Lobes. You know I love you. 3 Pips. Thank you so much. Very glad to see that you haven't reverted to lower number of pips. Thank you, Polymagic. Damn, Stephen Mathematics, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Drew, thank you. Lamb, what is this? Absurdism, Bear, Wit, Cannabinoid, Fernie. Thank you, everybody, so much for the support. Poopman Jones, and you guys are awesome. All right. Oh, shit. Oh, I dropped the cap for my water bottle. You think that the argument wasn't propositional logic? Okay, well, this Michael dude is so confused. Fair enough. All right, so if you are 18 plus and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God, feel free to come up. I mean, if you're so, look, oh, man. Oh, yeah, I need to do more reading when you don't even know how fucking propositional logic works. Yeah, that would be nice to go back to that conversation. What was that guy's name? Kiwi. Yo.
What's up, man?
How are you doing?
I'm
Killing
great.
it as
How's it going?
always.
Oh yeah, I stay killing it.
Oh yeah. I don't know if you were here earlier. I have slightly, ever so slightly, adjusted my moral position today. But
I was not. I just showed up.
I switched from believing in objective morals from naturalism to objective morals from rationalism. So, not a huge change, but it felt big
The
to me.
rational, not the natural. Is the rational natural?
Well, apparently not, because otherwise it would be naturalism, right? I don't know. But it's closer.
I think that unless it's like leaning towards Platonism, then I think that rationality would be emergent from nature.
Well,
nature gave rise to us.
Well, I mean, kind of, but yeah, the naturalist position just wants to say that like morals come from like the type of being that we are, and then the rationalist position says that morals come from logic.
Oh, okay. It sounds like you just have a more accurate label from what you already believe.
Well, so I was taking the position that morals are like moral truths are made true, or like the virtues are made virtuous by virtue of the kind of being that we are, which is what naturalism wants to say. And then what I was saying is, or what now my position currently is that essentially that naturalist position ends up entailing a bunch of weird stuff because you have to take this teleological view, this like kind of like purposeful view of like what kind of being we are. And I was pretty okay with that, but then I had a conversation with a couple people today that exposed some issues with that view that I didn't think were issues until I thought deeper about it. And then I realized that they are issues, so I changed my position on it.
What was the biggest issue?
Well, just the teleology. Like it ends up saying it ends up saying like it could push you into these positions where you're saying that like I don't know, you end up just like having to like pass judgment or like label people as bad or defective for things that I just can't really stomach.
I got you. So it just kind of reduces to an absurdity for you. It doesn't do something that you think morality should like do.
Yeah, well, and then like you also like end up in this weird position where like you could potentially use the view to like to try to like prop up things like homophobia or transphobia and things like that. And like I think that there are arguments against it, but knowing that I have like a really solid ethical rationalist arguments that I do think work, I don't have any reason, in my opinion, to try to prop up this naturalist view and defend against potential entailments of it when I can just get rid of it entirely.
I got you. What I find fascinating about like ethics is that a value that you already hold will kind of like inform what framework you think is right. You know? Like,
yeah, I mean that
values, and you're like, because this would entail this outcome, I'm not going to hold this position anymore. Hang on.
Well, because at the end of the day, what we're trying to do is say like we're trying to describe where morals come from and what morals are. And if in my attempt to describe what morals are, I come to a description of morals that commits me to saying that things that I know are not like, basically what I'm saying is it becomes an internal contradiction. So it's kind of like what you said, it's a reductio, like you said earlier. And the reason that I think that it comes to an internal contradiction is because the virtues want to say that homophobia and transphobia are bad, but then the supporting position that gets you to the virtues tells you that they're okay. Then you have that tension there. So I think that that's a better way to describe why I think it's an issue. It's because the meta-ethical view ends up putting you into a position where you have to accept things that your normative view rejects. And I don't think that that's a tenable place to be. And so then you have to say, like, you know, do I think that a description of morals that entails these things is an accurate description of morals? And, whoa. I hate when it glitches out and you don't actually get the animation. That was fucking lame. Stupid TikTok. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It's been really fucking slow tonight. What's going on, y'all? Do I need to do a reset? See if I can get some people before I end the live for the night? Because I don't know how long I'm going to stay live tonight. I went fucking 4.5 hours yesterday. Probably not going to do that again today. But yeah, currently don't have any requests. At least not anybody serious. But so yeah, and maybe we give it a reset. Maybe we give it a reset. Hey, Radio Spencer, glad to have you here. I think I'm probably about to do a reset because, I mean, we're just not getting anything. Nobody wants to have the debate. Lobes, I don't know if you can hear me, but I'm going to reset and you should come back. I mean, unless you can't. If you can come back, you should. Wow. Telling CT to go read Aquinas. Unreal. All right. Yeah, I'm going to do a reset on TikTok. Yeah, that's what I was thinking, CT. Very Catholic of him say that. Oh, man. Acting like a fool in the chat and came up and acted like a fool on the stage and then goes back to the chat to act like a fool. Good times. But yeah, like I said, I don't know if you can hear me, Lobes. I'm going to do a reset here. Hopefully, if you're able to come back, you do. Hey, thanks everybody for supporting Lobes while he's up here too. And hopefully he'll come back and you can do that some more. But I'm going to do a quick reset and I will be right back. Give me one moment here. Okay. Now it's just me and you, YouTube. It's just me and you. Momentarily. And then we get the TikTok back? Maybe? What is happening right now? Oh, TikTok just being stupid like normal? Of course. All right. Now we're back. Now we're back on TikTok. Okay. Okay. Hopefully we can actually get some folks up and have some good conversations. Just make sure if you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining that you're 18 plus and that you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God. Give me 1 second. Hey, thanks, Poopman Jones. It's funny to see the mustache on top of me not having a mustache. All right, 1 second. I can bring up our first guest of the reset. Hi, Investments. Are you still Christian?
Yes, still Christian.
What?
And God is real. I came up to say that and give an argument for God.
Okay, and what would you say is the best argument or evidence for God?
Well, first of all, the big boob, there ain't no big boob, that's for sure. I don't believe in all that nonsense, but I do believe that God made the world, and
so
then
what's
we have
the argument or evidence for God?
And the shrine of Taurine.
Do you understand the question that I'm asking you?
The shrine of Taurine, sir. That's the proof.
Okay. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm
sorry.
I'm pretty sure you're trolling. That person was up before and a while back and definitely was not talking like that. I don't know. Just sounded like a troll to me. Okay. But yeah, let me see. Alrighty. So yeah, if you are 18 plus and have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in God, feel free to come up. No, I shouldn't be. Do one of those and then let me check one thing really quickly here. All right. So yeah, like I said, if you are an adult and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in God, I'd be glad to have you come up, and we can have the debate. Right? Obviously, my position is that there is no reason to believe in God. I feel like we've run one argument that has not been, that there was no response to. Against God, and I haven't heard any arguments for God that we haven't been able to refute. So, sounds like tonight the no God position is winning, but hey, maybe that'll change. So, if you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you are 18 plus and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God. I can't let you up if you're not even requesting. So, good to see you too, Moon. Hi, Colin. How old are you?
Hello?
Hi, how old are you?
25.
And what God do you believe in?
Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, my mic. Hold up.
Okay. All right. So if you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and that you have some kind of argument or evidence that will provide rational justification to believe in a God. Eli, are you there this time?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. How old are you?
18.
All right. And what God do you believe in?
Allah.
And what would you say is the best argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in God?
I believe in Allah. If you fucking...
Okay, then. Didn't even get the troll out. Like, that was terrible. All right, so if you're in the guest queue, make sure that you're 18 plus, and that you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in a God. Hi, Barefoot. How old are you?
56.
Okay. Can you do anything about the background noise?
Yeah, 1 sec.
Oh, they don't get their full benefits.
That was something on the TV.
Yeah, I know. What God do you believe in?
Jesus.
Okay. And what would you say is the best argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in God?
Can I ask you a question?
If it's relevant.
Do you believe that there was a Caesar?
I have no idea. I don't really care about history.
Well, I mean, it's part of the question is...
Yeah, but I'm just telling you that I don't care about history, so I haven't researched it, so I don't have an informed position on it. So I'm not going to be able to give you informed answers about historical questions because that's not a topic that I'm interested in. So do you have any argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in God?
Do you believe in any ancient text?
No, like it's... Oh, shit, Ghost Pepper, thank you. Damn, that's fucking awesome. Thank you so much. Like I said, I don't care about history, so it's not something I research. Yeah, no, no, Barefoot, no, I don't. So do you have any No.
What about
I told you no. Barefoot, stop. No, I don't believe in any historical bullshit. I don't research history, so I don't know what things that we believe happen in history are true and which things aren't. Was I told about Christopher Columbus? Sure. Do I have, firm justification that I know for sure that Christopher Columbus is real? No, I don't, because that's not a thing that I've researched before. So I'm not informed on history, so I don't really... No, of course not. Of course not. So is there any reason to believe in God?
Do you believe in aliens?
Of course not. Is there any reason to believe in God?
Why do you not believe in aliens?
Because there's no reason to believe in them. Is there any reason to believe in God? This is the last time I'm asking you.
We have just
This is the last... Okay, genuinely, Barefoot, I need you to pay attention to what's happening right now. I'm going to ask you
Okay,
this question
current
one more
news,
time,
current news.
and you're
Go
either going to
Beckley
provide me
Tepe.
with some argument or evidence for God, or I'm going to drop you. What is one piece
Go
of evidence
Beckley
or an
Tepe.
argument that would give us a
Go
reason to believe in
Beckley
God?
Tepe. Go Beckley Tepe.
And how does that provide evidence to believe in God?
That's current news. That is a current archaeological.
Clearly not able to actually engage. Okay. Aliens, though. I don't know that Jesus wasn't a real person. That has nothing to do with whether God exists. All right, if you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in God. Hi, Riot. How old are you?
Bro, I'm 18.
And what God do you believe in?
No, God. I just want to say I'm a big fan of you. You are really cool, and I think you sound like Neil deGrasse Tyson, which is like really cool, man.
All right.
I think we're in the Matrix.
All right. Well, we're
No,
not
I'm
in the
being
Matrix.
serious.
Have a good one. Well, you should look into it because that's not possible. All right. Okay. Yeah, we gotta. It's been a while since I have been told that I sound like Neil deGrasse Tyson, but that does happen. It's not possible that we're in the Matrix or in a simulation or anything like that. If you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God. Hi, Crossbones, how old are you?
24.
And what God do you believe in?
Consciousness.
Okay, well, I believe in consciousness. What do we disagree about?
I believe consciousness is God.
Did consciousness create the universe?
I don't know.
Okay, well, then we would just be having a semantic dispute, and I'm not really interested in that, so have a good one. Oh, shit. All right, so if you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you are 18 plus, that you believe in a God, and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in God. Hi, Zen, how old are you?
18, you fucking bald-headed pussy.
Well, you are what you eat, so I guess the pussy accusation stands. If you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and that you have some kind of argument or evidence that will provide rational justification to believe in a God. Hi, Alex, how old are you?
18.
Do you believe in a God?
Yeah, I believe in Jesus Christ.
Okay, and what would you say is the best argument or evidence that would give us rational justification to believe in God?
I feel like just based on my own personal experiences, like going through hard times and just seeing like me, because I'm like very like a lukewarm Christian. I'm trying to work on it, but like me praying and like I feel a certain relief. And there's been times where I've gone through like bad things, and like me praying, I just feel better, and things have gotten better.
Yeah, but other people in other religions have had the same experience. So obviously, if that's not good enough reason to believe that those religions are true, then it can't be good enough reason to believe that your religion is true. So what would be a reason to believe in any of the things that you believe in? Because obviously that can't get us there.
Because obviously I was born into my religion, so it was kind of like
Right, but
taught to me.
what I'm
So
saying
I'm
though,
saying-
Alex, what I'm
Yeah.
saying though is that the reason that you've provided cannot possibly be a reason to believe in God. Because if it
I
was
feel
a
like
reason
just
to
like-
believe in something, then it would be a reason to believe in a whole bunch of stuff that you don't believe in. Since you don't believe in that stuff, then obviously you agree with me that it's not actually a good enough thing to base your beliefs on. So what would be a reason to believe that God exists?
Well, I mean, same thing had to come from somewhere. I feel like my ideology, because I do have doubts. I do share some of your doubts as well. But my ideology is like, it can't hurt. I would rather live my life.
I
believing
don't
something-
care. I don't care, Alex. All I care about is whether there's reason to think that it's true that God exists. That's all I'm talking about. I don't care what you think the like pragmatic ramifications are. I don't care that you think that it's like maybe good for your mental health. I'm not interested in that. I'm not
It's
your
not for
therapist.
my mental health. I
Well,
feel
that's
like-
fine. I'm just saying whatever the answer is. I'm just saying I
Yeah,
don't. All I'm trying to explain to you, Alex, is I only care about one specific thing, and that
All
one
right, if
specific.
there's a reason that God exists or whatever.
Yeah, if we have reason to believe that it's true that he exists, Is there any reason for us to think it's true that God exists?
I feel like we have evidence of the Shroud of Jesus. You know, there's
No, the Shroud of Turin
like-
is a forgery. That's why when it came out back in the 1300s, it was known to be a forgery then, right? Like we've known ever since then. We know that it's a painting. Also, if it wasn't a forgery, it wouldn't look anything like it does. Like if you take a cloth and you lay it over somebody's face, right? And then you get an impression of their face and then you flatten the cloth out, you know what happens? It doesn't look like a face anymore, right? Because what would happen is it would be flattened and now your face is like way too wide. Do you understand what I'm saying? But when you look at the Shroud of Turin, what does the image look like? It looks like
a face. Yeah.
It looks like a portrait painted of somebody. And you know why it looks like it was just a portrait painted of somebody? Because it's a portrait painted of somebody. That's all it is.
All right.
Let's go.
Have a good night.
All right, have a good one. It was burned in. If by burned in you mean painted on, then sure. Okay. All right. So if you are in the guest queue or thinking about joining the guest queue, make sure that you're 18 plus and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God. Okay.
Hello.
Owen, how old are you?
I'm 18. I just have one question. Why don't you believe in any gods?
Are you Christian?
I am.
Okay. And so I don't believe in any gods because there's no reason to believe in a God. Do you know of a reason to believe in a God?
I do.
Okay, what's the reason to believe in a God?
I don't know.
So you have a reason, you just don't know what it is?
Yeah.
I don't believe you.
Okay.
So what's the reason to believe in God?
For me, it's just helped me a lot in my life.
Uh-huh. And obviously people who believe in other religions would say that their religion has helped their lives, but you don't believe in those religions. So clearly a religion helping someone's life doesn't give you a reason to believe in it, and so wouldn't give me a reason to believe in it either. So what would be a reason to believe in God?
I mean, I just said it's like helped me in my life.
Yeah. Did you listen to my response?
You're right.
Okay, I agree. All right, if you are in the guest queue or thinking about joining the guest queue, make sure that you're 18 plus and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God. All right. Hi, Rio, how old are you?
I'm 50.
And what God do you believe in?
I believe in the God of the Bible. Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob.
Okay, I assume you mean the Christian Bible?
It's the Hebrew Bible. Let's say that.
Oh, so you're not a Christian, you're Jewish?
No, I'm not Jewish.
Well, that's what the Hebrew Bible is. It's for Jewish people. So do you believe in the New Testament?
I believe in both New and Old Testament.
Right, so you're a Christian. Like I said. So what would you say is the best argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in a God?
Well, first, you would have to know, with due respect, what your definition of the word God. So
typically I would say like a mind that created the universe, or we could say a personal ultimate foundation to reality.
Okay, so the actual definition is power. So the power that creates.
No, so if that's what you're talking about when you're talking about God, then we're not talking about the same thing. I'm talking about a mind that created the universe. Do you believe in that kind of thing?
The mind? You said the mind?
Do you believe in a mind that created the universe?
I believe in a intelligent being that created the universe, yes.
Okay. And what would you say is the best argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in that?
The best argument and evidence can be found in science, maths, physics, and biology.
Yeah, I just need you to tell me what the evidence is, not that it exists.
Yeah, let me get there. So in mathematics or science, there is a power that is called infinity. That infinity power that holds and creates everything, that's our all-powerful Almighty God. So that's the evidence, and that's the
What is the reason to think that there is a mind external to the universe that created the universe?
Because it is very calculated and very organized.
Well, if I tell you that there's tons of evidence from math and science that tells us there is no God, are you now going to agree with me that there is no God?
I mean,
is that enough for you to agree with me?
I mean, it's
is that enough for you to agree with me?
No, it's not.
Yeah, correct. Because me just saying that evidence exists isn't actually presenting evidence. So I'll ask you one more time. If you don't just present the argument or evidence, then I'm going to move on. What is an actual argument or piece of evidence that would give us a reason to believe in God?
The calculated organization of the universe make we know there's an intelligence being that created it.
Okay, so what you're saying is that anything that has organization must have been created by a God?
Exactly.
Okay. And obviously the kind of being that would have a mind capable of creating the universe, that mind would be pretty organized, right?
It's organized, yes.
Yeah, absolutely. So what that means is that the God you're thanks, Ghost Pepper, damn. That means that the God that you're appealing to must also have a creator by your definition. So that means that it's not ultimate. But again, like I said earlier, if it is a God, it would be ultimate. Therefore, you don't actually believe in a God.
As an infinity. That word in maths.
Yeah, that doesn't respond to what I said. So I'll give you one more chance to actually respond to what I said.
Okay, I'm just going to tell you that the infinite that you have learned in math.
All right. Damn, Ghost Pepper, thank you. Holy shit. I love it. I love it, Ghost Pepper. Thank you so much for the support. That's fucking awesome. Yeehaw indeed. All right. So yeah, and get more. God damn, Ghost Pepper. Holy shit. What the fuck, dude? Thank you so much. Holy shit. I am genuinely blown away. Wow. Thank you. Sincerely, thank you. Thank you so much. I genuinely appreciate it. That's huge. Wow. I don't even know what to say at this point. I have no idea, but I appreciate it so much. Honestly, like that kind of support is what allows me to improve the stream. The people who've been here for a while have seen me go through different cameras and stuff. I was literally using the fucking built-in camera on my laptop for a while. I switched to a shitty old webcam. With support from you guys, I was able to buy a different camera, but then it ended up being a piece of shit because I tried to get a cheap one, and so then I had to go buy a more expensive, nicer one. I've gotten new monitors and things like that to be able to kind of like expand my setup so I can do more. And it's genuinely, it's people like Ghost Pepper. Obviously, like the people who are all the time supporting a ton, make a huge difference. But, huge support like that from Ghost Pepper just makes such an enormous difference and allows me to do so much. So that all that support goes right back into the stream, trying to make it better. And I just cannot, I thank you so much. Honestly, like I can't overstate how much I appreciate the support. Thank you. Anyway, I'll try to try to move on to the conversation. I'm just blown away, Ghost Pepper. Thank you. Okay, so if you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in a God. All right, God, how old are you?
35.
You sound like you're muffling your microphone. Is there anything you can do about that?
No, I had my phone screen replaced recently because it was cracked and my microphone's been not so good ever since.
Okay, it sounds a little bit better now. I assume that you're a Christian.
That's a great assumption. I am somebody who reads religion and understands it as it says it is.
Okay, am I correct that you're a Christian?
No.
Okay, so what God do you believe in?
Well, I believe in some that he created me because I didn't create myself.
Okay, so I'm going to ask one more time. You're either going to give me a direct answer or I'm going to move on. What God do you believe in?
Well, there's no singular God to believe in.
Okay, fair enough. Oh, well, I was going to bring you up. All right. Yeah, if you can't tell me what God you believe in, then there's no other way that we can have a debate. So, all right, if you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God. Hi, Cherry. How old are you?
I'm 23.
Okay. Do you believe in a God?
I do. I follow Jesus and the word of Jesus. I would like to shout out Ghost Pepper, you the man.
Yeah, he's fucking killing it.
Also, like, I know, dude. It's like it was like gift after gift after gift. But I want to bring it back to something you said about 2 or 3 guests ago, about organization, and you had a really good point as far as if organization is caused by an intelligent mind. Obviously, what is the creation of the intelligent mind? Is that accurate to what you said?
Well, the guest said that anything that has like a certain level of organization must have been created by an intelligent mind. Obviously, that mind and that has the capacity to create the universe has to have at least that level of organization. So then that principle the guest gave would lead you to the conclusion that whatever created the universe was also created. But if we're talking about a God, then by the definition of God, it would be ultimate, so it can't have been created. So that person just defined their God out of existence. But that's not a problem if you don't say something stupid like that guy did.
No, I can understand that, and I wanted to give you credit there. I think that's a really good point as far as like logic goes. You know what I mean? And obviously in a debate you need to use logic, not just faith. However, I'm curious, and obviously this is just a question, what do you believe began the universe? Are you like a Big Bang kind of guy, or are you some kind of higher power? Because there is organization.
No, I don't
You know
think
what I
there's
mean?
any reason to think that the universe had a beginning. Like, I don't think that there's any reason to think that
Okay.
the universe came into existence from not existing.
Okay. Weren't you basing your stuff out of science, though?
I mean, certainly science can tell us a lot of things. Philosophy also tells us a lot of things that science can't. But if we want to talk about science, the most that we know about, like, quote unquote early universe is what the Big Bang tells us about the expansion. But that has nothing to do with whether or not the universe had a beginning.
You don't think the expansion of a single molecule was...
It wasn't a single molecule. That's a misunderstanding.
So, okay, then maybe I'm misunderstanding. Could you explain kind of where they say the Big Bang comes from? Because as far as I know, it's from a single, like, I don't know the terminology to say.
The term would just be a hot, dense state. It was just everything that exists in the entire universe.
Are we going Big Bang Theory like theme song though? Hot dense state. Oh, never mind. Sorry, I thought you watched the show. My fault.
Oh, I fucking hate that show. Honestly.
Really?
Yes.
Sheldon Cooper's my god. Nah. It's Rajesh Koothrappali, dog. That's my
Anyway,
god.
No, I just
Sorry.
don't like that show because it's a show about nerds written by people who don't know anything about being a nerd. As a nerd, it's offensive. It's like
Okay, so
my
you
culture is not your
qualify
costume
yourself
kind
as
of
a
thing.
Okay.
Anyway, what I was saying is that genuinely it is just the correct term is that the universe expanded from a hot dense state. It's because all of the entire universe was compressed down into one small state. I've heard somebody say that we think that it could have been as small as like a volleyball. Now, I don't know if that's correct. I have no idea. That seems insane
And
to me.
obviously, yeah.
I have no idea.
We have no
but,
idea of knowing if that's true. Yeah.
Right, but what I'm saying is that the best science that we have just tells us that the universe was compressed into a small ball, essentially, something along those lines, and then it expanded from there, right? So now that's all it tells us. It doesn't tell us that that was the beginning of the universe. It just says It was hot dense state, then it expanded. So the
Okay.
Big Bang has nothing to say about whether there was a beginning of the universe. In fact, I'll give you a reason to think that I'm not just bullshitting you. There was a survey done recently, came out
Man, you
in
pulled up Big Bang quick. The Big Bang has been well established by the observations of galaxies, of the abundance of
light elements and of
light
the cosmic
elements.
microwave background. But what was not agreed upon is what we actually mean by the expression Big Bang. Should it be taken to refer to a singularity of infinite density and pressure, a universe that had a definite start, or just a hot dense state from which everything evolved? In your opinion, what does Big Bang imply? And the answers
Okay.
were 20% said an absolute beginning of time with a singularity at its start, 5% said an absolute beginning of time without a singularity, 4% had other views, 3% said no opinion, and the vast majority, almost 70% of the about 1,700 people, professional, physicists and cosmologists who responded, they said the
Okay.
majority view is that the Big Bang is a theory that says the universe evolves from a hot dense state, that says nothing about whether there was an absolute beginning of time or not. So this is a
Yeah,
survey
yeah.
that was done with thousands of respondents who are, like I said, people who are in the know about this stuff, people who work on this stuff professionally. And so that
Yes,
is the
sir.
current position of science, is that we have no reason to think that there was, that the Big Bang doesn't tell us anything about whether it was a beginning or not. So if we're going to say
Okay.
that we think the universe had a beginning, we would have to have some other evidence that has nothing to do with the Big Bang.
Yeah, and first off, I want to say thank you for like popping that up so quick and like actually being able to cite your source and stuff. And my first question was going to be like, who is that study of? Like, what is the 20%? You know what I mean? And for you to say it's 1,700 like cosmetologists and scientists who are actually dealing with these scenarios day to day, maybe not day to day, but in their field, I definitely appreciate that.
Yeah.
I won't say that it's necessarily enough to make me think that like obviously human beings aren't organized. Like I kind of want to get back
No,
to
but
that
that's
point
not.
as
No,
far
that's not the
as
thing, though. What I'm
okay.
saying though, Cherry, is that the only reason I gave the response that I did to that other person is because he said something stupid. So if you don't say the stupid thing that he said, then my response has nothing to do with you or your position.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, that's a good point. I guess I would say the reason that I can find Christianity or following Jesus's word reliable is the fact that like anything that I read and apply to my life drastically does improve. Now, I won't say I'm
But
a
that doesn't
perfect
tell us,
person.
right? But that has nothing to do with whether or not God is real, and that just has to do with like the pragmatic impact of believing this belief system. Now, I can agree with you that there are a lot of people who switch to, believe in a religion or, switch from one religion to another, um, and it helps their lives, right? Like I'm aware of a story of a guy who, converted from Christianity to Islam because he was an alcoholic, and converting to Islam helped him get over his alcoholism. And obviously his life massively improved when he got over his alcoholism and stopped drinking. I shouldn't say got over his alcoholism, but it helped him deal with his
Sure.
alcoholism and get sober, right? Obviously his
Yeah.
life massively improved when he got sober as a result of converting to Islam, but that doesn't mean that Muhammad is the last true prophet of God. And that doesn't mean that Jesus can't, that's not the reason to say that Jesus can't be the Messiah. However, if what you're saying is a reason to believe in something, then we should think that based on that guy's story, that Jesus is not the Messiah, and instead Muhammad is the last true prophet of God.
Okay, that's a really good point as far as you can really believe any religion.
Right, because
As long
every
as it
religion,
impacts your life
yeah.
like positively.
Right. I could say that watching the Hellraiser movies and liking Pinhead has had a positive impact on my life. Therefore, Pinhead actually exists. Well, that would be insane, right? Like, obviously, that doesn't mean that Pinhead really exists.
Sure.
Or for
Could I ask
example,
you a
like,
follow-up?
oh, go for it.
No, go ahead with your example.
I was just going to go into a bunch of another example of the same thing. So go ahead with your question.
Okay, yes, sir. I can definitely understand where you're coming from. My question to you, I guess, would be, what is the reason of organization? I know that was the question that was asked a little bit earlier and responded to by the Christian side or someone who claimed to be Christian. I guess, what is your reasonality as far as why are things organized? Why are you a human being that is this complex? Do you think that's just chemical reaction?
Yeah, 100%. Yes. I mean, like, obviously there's more than just chemistry, because natural selection is a whole, process in and of itself. But that is, just, I think that the catch-all answer that's going to answer all of this is just going to be natural processes.
Okay, and you believe that those natural processes are just chemical reactions.
Well, no, there's more than chemical reactions involved.
Okay, can you maybe elaborate on what those kind of power? I don't know if power is the right word, but what those are outside of chemical imbalances or balances?
Well, yeah, natural selection is not necessarily a chemical process. It's just the process of like what's the way that I want to put this?
Like a tiger eating a gazelle.
Well, it's competition for resources, right? So it's going to be
Okay.
like every living being is basically a mech suit for a self-replicating molecule that wants to continue replicating, right? And I use
Do you
want
mind
in a
saying
very
that part
like
one more
loose
time?
way.
That was a lot of big words, and I'm not that smart. I will try my best to follow.
So
My fault.
every living organism is basically a mech suit for a self-replicating molecule. So,
Okay.
billions of years ago, when life began on this planet, all that existed, all the proto life was simply self-replicating molecules, and those self-replicating molecules were taking in other, proto-organic compounds and using them as part of their process of replicating themselves. And some of those groups of self-replicating molecules would bump into each other, and some would continue and some wouldn't. And the ones that continued had to continue competing with the other ones, and as they replicated, they would slightly mutate. The ones that had mutations that allowed them to better access the resources they needed to continue replicating would be the ones that continued existing. And then you get just like an arms race, right? You get like all the mutations that are happening and changing those self-replicating molecules. The ones that are getting more complex and have better mechanisms to gain access to resources, protect themselves from, negative impacts from their environment, so on and so forth, those are the ones that continued existing. And then over time, you go from just molecules replicating themselves to them replicating themselves and being enclosed in like a lipid bilayer. Then you get eventually an actual cell. And then from an actual cell, you eventually took a very long time actually to get from a single-celled organism to the first multicellular organism. Then from there, it was like the fucking brakes came off, and then all kinds of different variation developed, and all these multicellular organisms, again, continued self-replicating, making more copies of themselves, and those copies had mutations, and those mutations either were detrimental, in which case they died, neutral, so they didn't have any impact, or beneficial, so it made that organism with that beneficial mutation better able to access resources and continue replicating itself. And then that process just continued for billions of years, and that's where we came from. And so now it's not just the self-replicating molecule, it's that because of the type of competition that happens between either the molecules at the beginning or the, eventually the organisms themselves, because of the competition that happens, it just creates a process where the things that are best able to access resources that they need to survive do survive, and they pass on their genes to the next generation, and the ones that can't don't.
Could I ask a clarifying question?
Yeah.
Awesome. Do you think that obviously Darwinism is what you're explaining?
I mean, I think that they call it like
Kind of the best
neo-Darwinism, like the
survive in
modern
their
synthesis.
environment? Okay, yeah. So I guess my question is, do you think that the evolution happened based off of environment? Do you think that was a driving factor there?
If I understand the question, yes, but I'm not sure that I understand what you mean.
No, I think I'm just trying to gain clarity here, and because I agree with Darwinism, I'm not trying to say that you're wrong. The only thing I would question in that, maybe, and this may be just a wrong term, right? You said molecule when you were saying they replicated themselves, and I can understand that with an organism or like a cell. But when you talk about molecules, you talk about matter, and the science proves that matter can not be created or destroyed.
Nope,
So
that's
no,
not true. That's not true.
Okay, can you help me with that? Because
What
that's
you're
what
trying to refer to is the first law of thermodynamics, that energy can't be created or destroyed, only transferred. It doesn't have to
But
do with
matter
matter.
can be?
Yes, correct.
So matter can be created and destroyed?
Correct.
Could you give me a quick example?
Yeah, we know there are lots of examples of matter coming into and going out of existence.
Okay.
I mean,
Entirely or just moving out of our view?
Like it stops being matter.
What does it become? I guess is my question.
Yeah, so the particles don't exist anymore, so the energy goes back into the quantum fields, and then, you know, subsequent excitations of energy in the quantum fields would produce different particles, and that would be then matter coming into existence.
Man, are we getting into thermodynamics here?
No, what I'm saying is that you were trying to refer to, I think you were trying to refer to the first law of thermodynamics, which says energy can't be created or destroyed, but instead you said
Okay.
matter, and that's different, and that's not correct.
Okay. Well, I'll definitely have to do some like follow-up research on that. Obviously, I will take into consideration what you said. I'm not going to say you're just outright wrong, right?
Yeah, no, don't
But-
believe it just because I said it. Like,
Of
I would
course,
never
of
tell
course.
anybody to believe anything just because I said it, right? Definitely
Yes,
look
sir.
it up, right? And the only reason
Awesome.
that I'm saying that is because I watch lots of science debates and stuff like that. And I'm by no means a scientist, but I know that this is things that physicists understand, that matter can be created and destroyed. And maybe created and destroyed is a strong term, but at least we know it can come into existence and go out of existence. And what is conserved, as far as we can tell, at least in closed systems, is energy.
Okay. And I guess relating to energy, what's the and maybe instead of phrasing this like a trapful question, let me ask you straight up. I guess would you say that like a molecule is the smallest form of matter we can get to? Or I'm sorry, like a quark. Like we're talking way small.
Yeah, because molecules are groups of atoms. So atoms are smaller than molecules. Then the
And then quarks
subatomic
are even
particles are
smaller.
smaller than that, and then quarks, and I don't remember all of the
Yeah, I know, it
subatomic
goes
particles.
crazy.
Yeah, as far
Okay,
as
I
I
guess-
know, and I could be wrong, but as far as I know, the fundamental thing is like the quantum fields and the manifold bearing the quantum fields. So I take a position that's called priority monism, where I think the only fundamental thing that exists, the only thing that has independent existence, is like the universe itself. And by the universe, I mean the quantum fields, like the manifold that holds the quantum fields. That's the thing, the fundamental thing, the only fundamental thing in my perspective. And then everything else that exists is just, you know, proper parts of that big thing.
I think that's fair to an extent, but at the same point that you're claiming that God isn't real, how can you prove that there's nothing outside of the universe if it's
Well-
beyond our capacity of knowledge? You know
Well,
what I mean?
Yeah, I can't prove that there is nothing outside of the universe, but what we do have really good reason to believe is that it's not possible for something from outside of the universe to have created this universe. At least not unless it also exists in a universe, and our universe is like a sub-universe of a bigger universe. Then if that's the case, then that's the thing that I'm talking about that's ultimate, is that ultimate
Okay.
that manifold that's bearing those quantum fields. Now, like I said, like
Okay.
there are some, like, I don't know that there's any legitimacy to it, but there are some attempted hypothetical cosmological models that say that, like, you know, like a big that black holes spawn new universes, and I don't know if that's true. If it is, then maybe
Right.
like our Big Bang came from a black hole in a different universe. I don't know.
Right.
But what I'm saying is that if the universe has a cause in that way, that wouldn't be it being created by some being outside of time and space. Because if there's a being outside time and space, then it would not be able to take actions. Like let's imagine that we have like a Christian-esque God, right? Like that has knowledge, power, those kinds of things. Well,
What do you mean by Christian-esque? Could we define that fully before we
yeah,
because Christian-esque is like very vague.
yeah, sure. All I meant is just like you know, maybe maximally powerful, maximally knowing, maximally
Oh,
good God.
okay. Yes,
Some-
sir.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, we don't have
So
to
the Christian God, for example.
For example, yeah, let's say that
Yes, sir.
that conception of God existed. Well, what would have to be true? Well, we know that God, being maximally knowing, has knowledge. If he has knowledge, that means he has a mind, because knowledge is a mental state. If he
Yeah.
has a mind, then either he has a series of changing mental states or only one unchanging mental state. Well, and we could figure out which of those it is, because if he's the creator of the universe, then he's the creator of time. If he's the creator of time, then he's outside of time. Since change
Yes, sir.
only happens inside time, that means that nothing internal to God can change, which means God's mind can never change from one mental state to another. So that means God can only ever have one unchanging mental state. But if God's
Could I
mental
interrupt you there?
Okay.
I think and I'm sorry, just give me 1 second. I think you mentioned something there as far as God is, you mentioned if God is outside of time, change can only happen within time.
What I
Are
said
you
is
saying
that
God has?
what I'm saying is that
Go ahead.
if God created the universe, then that means he also created time. And if he created time,
Sure.
then that means he's outside of time.
Correct.
Okay.
Which is what he describes.
Right. And change can only happen inside time.
Why do you think that? Like, where's the evidence of that?
Yeah, sure. So would you agree that if nothing happens, then nothing changes?
It depends. And this is where we get into like relativity. Because like,
No, we're not talking about relativity. No.
Then where are you saying this non-change is taking place? Is it in your life or is it just in the world itself?
No, we're just saying conceptually.
Conception. Like in the world itself, basically.
If we imagine a state of existence where nothing has happened, we would say that nothing has changed in that state of existence, right?
I'm sorry, say that one more time. I was reading a comment that was very disrespectful.
If we imagine a state of existence where nothing happens, then we would say that also nothing has changed, right?
Where nothing happens, nothing has changed. I would say yes in theory. However, I don't think that's a state of anywhere on the planet.
I didn't say anything about it being on the planet.
Yeah, no, you're right. I would agree in theory.
Okay, so I'm just asking conceptually, if we imagine a state of existence where nothing is happening, then it would also be true that in that state of existence, nothing is changing, right?
Correct. Yes. Sir.
Okay, so it's true that if nothing happens, then nothing changes. There's a
I
concept.
don't think so.
And so there's a concept called a contrapositive where we can flip the truth values and flop it. So it's logically equivalent to that first thing that you've agreed to say that if something changes, then something happened. Does that make sense?
It does if we were arguing in theory.
Yes, that's all we're talking about. We're just talking about the concept
So
of
we're
what these
taking the
terms
logic
mean.
out of it.
We're only talking logic. We're only saying logically what do these concepts entail?
Right. If I were to say logically, I would say that's not a real thing. Like that
What's
doesn't
not a
there's
real
nowhere
thing?
in the fact of a space where nothing changes.
Do you understand what a hypothetical is?
Yes, sir, but I don't think that's like
So
logical
can you No. Do you understand what a hypothetical is?
Yes, sir. It's not a real thing.
Right. So
it's a situation created in our minds.
Right. So we're just trying to analyze what these concepts mean and what follows from these concepts. I don't know why you're trying to make this difficult.
No. I hear you, and I'm not trying to. I think I'm maybe misunderstanding where you're coming from.
I'm just trying to ask you to analyze these concepts with me. So what we're agreeing to is that if there's a state of existence where nothing is happening, then that means nothing is changing. If that's true, then what that means is that anytime something changes, something has happened. If that's true, then that means that all changes are happenings. But it's also true that all happenings are events. And it's also true that all events are in time. So what that tells us is that all changes are in time.
But did that tell us if someone was able to alter those changes or not? Because if we're talking in hypotheticals, let's hypothetically say that somebody could change those events. I mean, like that's what I'm saying is there's no logic.
No, you're just refusing to engage with the.
No, I'm happy to engage.
No, you're not engaging. You're not engaging. No, you're trying to say this is like if I asked you like if you didn't have breakfast this morning, would you be hungry? And you're like, but I did have breakfast. Well,
No.
Okay. The point is if.
Right. If we're talking outside the world though. So if you're trying to make a worldly claim.
No. Jesus fucking Christ, dude. I'm just talking about
I'm
what the
really trying to
concepts
hear you.
mean. No, you're not. You're refusing
I'm sorry.
to. You're refusing
No,
to
I'm not.
actually
I'm really
listen to what
trying
I'm
to hear you.
saying, and you're trying to find ways that I might be wrong. And instead of actually finding ways that I might be wrong,
sir.
you're just making yourself look dishonest. So
No, sir,
here's,
I
here's
apologize
what I'm
about
saying.
that.
Here's what I'm saying. Let's maybe we can simplify this. If change exists, then that means that there's a transition from a past moment to a present moment, or from a present moment to a future moment, right?
Hypothetically, yes. So can I ask you a hypothetical? Did I not just entertain your hypothetical?
No, you didn't. I just need you to answer the question. Do
I
you
did. I said
understand
yes.
without qualification, just answer the question. Do you understand that if change exists, if something changes, then a state of existence has gone from a past state to a present state, or a present state to a future state? Do you understand?
Yes.
Fantastic. So if those types of states exist, past states, present states, future states, that means time exists. So what that means is that anytime there is change, there is time. Change can only happen inside time.
Yes. You keep saying if, so we're still in like a hypothetical imaginary land.
No.
What is a hypothetical? Is
Do
a
you
hypothetical
understand?
not-
Do you understand what it means to analyze a concept?
I do. Can we define our terms first? Like, because we can. I'm happy to define your terms and agree to them. I'm just trying to define a hypothetical. Like, we can pull up a definition. You don't have to get upset. If you can wait 2 seconds, I'll Google it and I'll read it to you.
I'm not worried about the definition of hypothetical. I'm worried about
Then
the
why
fact
can't
that
you
what
tell me
you're
what it
trying
is?
to do, what you're trying to do right now is find a way to get out of an argument that you know is going
No,
to
sir.
destroy your
I
position.
told you yes. I told you yes to your hypothetical. If hypothetically, if a change needed an event to change, yes.
No, not if. No. Now you're changing the hypothetical. You dishonest
Okay, then
fuck.
can you repeat it? Can you repeat it? I don't mean to be dishonest. There's
You
no
are
reason to
being
attack me
no.
either.
You are being a dishonest asshole.
You should look at the chat.
I don't give a
A lot
fuck.
of guys
I
are-
don't give a fuck what the chat says. If you want to talk to the chat,
Right, so
then
you-
drop down and talk to them.
Right, but isn't that dishonest to just disregard people's opinions on what you're saying?
No. Why the fuck
Oh,
do I
right.
care what their
So-
opinions are? What I'm telling
so if
you
I
is
refuse
you are
to do-
being okay. So now what you
So
want
if
to
I
do?
refuse to answer a
So now what you
hypothetical,
want to
I'm
do
dishonest.
is pivot away from the actual substance, and you
No,
want to
sir.
talk about what the
Let's
chat
talk
is
to-
saying instead of actually talking about the
No.
concept or the things that we're discussing. You don't want to
Let's
talk about the
about it.
substance.
I answered your hypothetical. You
No,
will
what
not
we're
answer mine.
saying is that if change exists, then time exists. Right?
If change exists, time exists.
Yep.
What is your evidence? I don't. No, you said like God isn't real. We need evidence. So if change,
I gave you the argument, you agreed to it, and now you're trying to run away from it.
not
I
necessarily.
don't have
Can you-
patience for this. Yeah, so now it's obvious that you're just trolling. Ooh. Okay. Unbelievable. Okay, so yeah, so thank you everybody so much for the support. Ghost Pepper fucking A. Motor City. Oh, was it any good, Obelisk? I'm curious. Thank you so much for the support, Inanis, SciTech Nature, Lem, Talarin, SciTech Nature. Thank you all. I sincerely appreciate it. You guys fucking rule. And yeah. Oh, all right. So thank you so much, everybody. I sincerely appreciate it. Well, I'm glad to hear that, Obelisk. Maybe I'll have to check that one out. Okay, so yeah, thank you everybody. I appreciate all the likes, the shares, the support. It's sincerely appreciated. The last thing I want to say here, because I am ending the live, because I've been going for a couple hours, and that's about the most that I'm willing to do. Especially when, you know, people act like that. But the last thing I want to say, as I always do, is that tomorrow is not guaranteed, right? We don't know how many opportunities